Sometimes we find ourselves in a mental and emotional place that can only be described as stale. No zest, little motivation. Everything seems same old, with hardly any flavor to life. Happily, Charlotte Mason gave us some very practical ideas for refreshing our minds and hearts, ideas for getting the zest back into our spirits and the flavor back into life. Let me give you 5 simple practices to help if you're feeling stale. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonia Schaefer. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that now. We bring new encouragement and Charlotte Mason training for homeschool parents every week. When I think about something that is stale, my mind, of course, turns to food. I try to eat healthful foods, and my medical practitioner tells me that my diet is pretty clean. But I must admit to a weakness for potato chips, especially the barbecue chips that my favorite sandwich shop serves in those little individual-sized bags. Oh, they're hard to resist. However, the one thing that will motivate me to stop eating those chips, close that little bag and quietly toss it in the trash can, is if those chips are stale. Somehow, the joy is gone when there's no zest, little crunch, hardly any flavor. Stale chips are not pleasant. Neither is a stale frame of mind when it seems like all the zest and flavor has gone out of life. So let's look at 5 simple practices that Charlotte Mason recommended to help you feel refreshed. These practices are not complicated. In fact, I'm pretty sure you've probably heard them before. But as with all of Charlotte Mason's methods, they're simple and effective. They work if you do them. Practice number 1 to help you feel refreshed is to schedule regular times to get together with friends. It sounds simple, but let's break that idea down. First, schedule. Time with other adults doesn't just happen. You have to be intentional about it. We can say, oh, I don't have time for anything but housework and schoolwork. But that kind of schedule is more than likely going to end in burnout. Time to refresh yourself with friends is not a selfish thing to do. It will benefit your children as well as you. Charlotte said, frequent change of thought and the society of other people make the mother all the fresher for her children. Home Education, page 18. Did you notice that? For her children. See, they notice the change in the atmosphere when you are refreshed. So be intentional about scheduling regular times to get together with friends. Regular, that's a relative term, and I used it on purpose because the frequency of those get-togethers is up to you. It can depend on your personality. For those of you who are introverts, regular might mean once a month. Those who are people persons might do better with every week. Whatever your personal preference, find the frequency that helps you feel refreshed, not fatigued. And then make sure your time is spent with friends who encourage you and lift your spirits, people who are trustworthy and helpful. It's hard to feel refreshed in the presence of a chronic complainer or someone with a critical spirit. Oh, you may have someone like that in your life with whom you must spend regular time. But if that is the case, it's all the more important that you intentionally schedule time away in the presence of someone who will refresh you. Practice number 2. If you're feeling stale, get outside into nature. There's something about being surrounded by what God has made that affects us mentally and emotionally when we walk out the door and shift our attention to the beauty, the immensity, the intricacies of creation. Somehow, it helps us put things into perspective. Charlotte described it as being able to get life into focus, as it were. Learn to distinguish between small matters and great, to see that we ourselves are not of very great importance, that the world is wide, that things are sweet, that people are sweet too. Ourselves, Book 2, page 98. Time in nature doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be an overnight camping trip. Well, it can be if that would refresh you. But for some of you, that would stress you out. As with all of these practices, adjust them to fit you as a person. But don't dismiss them. Even a 10-minute walk spent breathing deeply, listening for bird songs, and looking for beauty can refresh us in surprising ways. Practice number 3, to help you find joy and refreshment, read a good book. A good book can give us joy, refreshment, and delight. I remember a season of my life when I thought I didn't have time to read any additional books other than those needed for schoolwork. And those were the years I struggled most. We can look at these practices as burdens, as more duties to squeeze into our days, or we can choose to look at them as small treats sprinkled throughout our week to look forward to and relish. Charlotte Mason spotlighted that kind of refreshment when she said, "We wish the children to grow up to find joy and refreshment in the taste, the flavor of a book. We do not mean by a book any printed matter in a binding, but a work possessing certain literary qualities able to bring that sensible delight to the reader, which belongs to a literary word fitly spoken." Parents and Children, pages 262 and 263. That's just as true for the parent as it is for the child. If you treat yourself to just 10 minutes a day of reading a book for your own enjoyment and edification, at the end of 1 year, you will have benefited from more than 60 hours of that kind of refreshment. It adds up. And you don't have to wait until the end of the year to find the joy and delight that Charlotte described. Read a good book, even if it's just for 10 minutes a day, and you will be refreshed. Probably one of the best ways to feel refreshed is practice number 4. Take a nap or go to bed early. Sleep is one of the most underrated gifts that God has given us. There's nothing that can compare with the refreshment that comes from sleep. On the scientific side, sleep is essential to brain health. Not getting enough sleep, it impairs our ability to remember things, to pay attention, and to solve problems. In other words, life can become stale and hard. Charlotte gave the simple remedy. The tired person is glad to sit down and be quiet for a little, or lie on his face with a book, or best of all, go to sleep soundly at night and wake up refreshed and ready for anything. Ourselves, Book 1, page 18. Doesn't that sound lovely? Refreshed and ready for anything. Accept God's gift of sleep. Rather than pushing through each day in a kind of mental and emotional daze, I invite you to take a little nap, or better yet, go to bed early and be refreshed by sleep. Practice number 5. Keep yourself and your children fresh by making sure that your lessons are timely and varied. I went through a season with my special needs daughter in which I decided to focus only on the subjects that she was struggling in. I thought, let's see how much ground we can gain with some intensive study on just those subjects. That lasted for a few weeks, and we both couldn't take it anymore. Oh, talk about stale. We were both dreading our school time. Variety keeps your lessons refreshing. Once we added back in the art and the music and the poetry and the handicrafts, then we began to enjoy our school time again. Charlotte had explained that idea, but I had forgotten it. She said, "A number of subjects and a variety of subjects makes for relief and refreshment and not for fatigue. The things that tire a child are too long lessons and too long school hours." The Story of Charlotte Mason, page 259. So we keep a variety of subjects, but we don't let the lessons drag on and on. We keep those lessons focused and short. And we end our school hours somewhere around lunchtime, depending on the grade level of the student. I'll leave a link in the description to a weekly schedule that will give you ideal lesson lengths and variety. Short, focused lessons and wide variety make for refreshment. So those are the 5 tips to help you feel refreshed. Time with friends, time in nature, reading a good book, sleep, and short, varied lessons. Probably nothing new or surprising in those suggestions, but what will be new and surprising is the feeling of refreshment that you will enjoy if you intentionally make each one a regular practice. Which one are you going to try first? Leave a comment and let me know. And if you would like some help turning any of these practices into a habit in your life, I invite you to download the free book, Smooth and Easy Days. Check the description for a link. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.